A drone strike recently grazed an external generator at the United Arab Emirates, Barakah nuclear power plant, without causing any radiological release or halting operations. Yet this incident has sent shockwaves through energy markets and defense circles far beyond what a simple technical failure would warrant. The real story is not about whether the reactor could be breached, but why striking a non-critical component was calculated to destabilize regional confidence more effectively than destroying the core itself. By understanding the specific incentives behind targeting auxiliary infrastructure rather than the containment vessel, you will see how this event exposes a fundamental fragility in Gulf energy security that no amount of hardened concrete can fix. The Barakah facility represents one of the most sophisticated nuclear complexes ever built outside of North America or East Asia. It houses 4 pressurized water reactors designed to provide nearly 30% of the Emirates' electricity needs, marking a decisive shift away from fossil fuel dependence for their grid. The physical design prioritizes extreme resilience at its center. Each reactor is encased in reinforced concrete containment structures capable withstanding direct missile impacts and internal explosions without releasing radiation. Engineers explicitly separated critical safety systems from non-essential external infrastructure to ensure that even if one component failed, the entire plant would remain operational. This architectural choice was intended to make Barakah immune to asymmetric attacks designed to cripple energy output through collateral damage rather than catastrophic breach. However, the recent drone attack targeted exactly where those engineers had created a single point of failure outside their hardened perimeter. The projectile struck an external electrical generator that feeds power from the national grid into the plant's auxiliary systems. While this did not compromise the reactor core or trigger any radiological event, it forced a temporary shutdown for safety protocols and inspections. This outcome demonstrates a deliberate trade-off in modern nuclear design, where operational continuity is prioritized by isolating critical components, yet this isolation creates vulnerabilities elsewhere in the supply chain that are far easier to exploit with low-cost asymmetric tools. The plant's physical defenses held against a catastrophic breach, but the psychological impact of seeing an attack succeed on its infrastructure successfully destabilized regional confidence and raised immediate questions about energy security across the Gulf Cooperation Council states. Quick resource note: I keep a curated set of Amazon search links in the description for books, gear, and tools relevant to this channel's topics. Some are affiliate links, so I may earn a commission at no extra cost to you. Please consider supporting the channel by using those links if you find something useful. This incident functions as a calculated geopolitical signal rather than a strategic failure of the facility itself. By hitting external grid infrastructure instead of the reactor core, the attackers demonstrated they could penetrate what was thought to be a secure zone without triggering an all-out military response or risking nuclear contamination that would draw international intervention. The attack serves as a low-cost asymmetric test of United Arab Emirates and United States defense interoperability in the region. Current layered air defense systems in the Gulf are optimized for high-value kinetic threats like incoming missiles or aircraft, but they lack the granularity to intercept low-altitude, low-signature drones without risking collateral damage to critical civilian infrastructure. This gap reveals that while the reactor's core safety architecture is robust, the perimeter security remains vulnerable to persistent harassment tactics designed to probe defense capabilities and create uncertainty among investors and regional partners. The UAE government responded with strategic ambiguity regarding the perpetrator of this strike, avoiding direct accusations against Iran despite historical precedents linking Houthi attacks in Yemen to Iranian support networks. This diplomatic calculus suggests that immediate attribution was less important than maintaining stability through a period of heightened tension. By not confirming the attacker or launching an explicit retaliation, the Emirates prioritized long-term diplomatic relations over short-term political signaling. This approach complicates the narrative that the strike was purely a demonstration of Houthi capability in isolation. Instead, it implies a broader understanding that escalation management is more valuable than public attribution when dealing with nuclear assets, where any miscalculation could have catastrophic consequences for global energy markets and regional stability. The absence of confirmed data on specific drone capabilities or precise effectiveness of defensive responses leaves a critical knowledge gap regarding the maturity of Gulf integrated air defense systems against asymmetric threats. While official statements confirm no radiological harm occurred, independent verification of how many drones were launched, which were intercepted by Patriot batteries or other missile defense systems, and what percentage successfully reached their targets remains unavailable to public analysis. This lack of transparency prevents a full assessment of whether the interception rate was adequate or if defensive measures are being overwhelmed by swarm tactics that exploit gaps in radar coverage at low altitudes near urban centers and industrial zones. The incident exposes systemic vulnerabilities where plant resilience is contingent on external supply chains, not hardened against the same asymmetric threats as the reactor itself, creating a failure mode for engineers designing energy-critical national infrastructure that relies heavily on centralized, geographically concentrated nuclear assets. The strategic implication extends beyond immediate operational disruptions to fundamental questions about diversification strategies in the Gulf region. The reliance on large-scale nuclear facilities means even a near miss on non-critical infrastructure can trigger disproportionate geopolitical escalation and market volatility, undermining the very value of moving away from fossil fuels that these projects were designed to achieve. When investors see attacks succeeding against auxiliary systems despite robust core protections, confidence erodes faster than when they face technical glitches or minor outages. This fragility suggests that future energy security planning must account for psychological warfare tactics and asymmetric threats as primary considerations alongside physical hardening measures, recognizing that the vulnerability of external infrastructure can be weaponized to achieve strategic objectives without ever breaching containment barriers. The real insight here is that Barakah's attack was not a failure of nuclear engineering, but a success in exposing the limits of current defense doctrines against low-cost asymmetric threats targeting critical national infrastructure. The plant survived because its designers anticipated kinetic attacks on the core, yet they could not fully anticipate how adversaries would exploit peripheral vulnerabilities to achieve strategic disruption without triggering nuclear catastrophe. This reveals that energy security in the Gulf is as much about managing perception and maintaining diplomatic stability as it is about building physical barriers against missiles or drones. As regional tensions continue to evolve, understanding these incentives becomes essential for predicting where future conflicts will emerge and how states will respond when their most valuable assets are targeted, not with overwhelming force, but with surgical precision designed to maximize psychological impact while minimizing escalation risks. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. I am a one-person team working hard to make each video better than the last. Subscribe if you found value. It is the best way to show support. Drop a comment with your biggest takeaway. See you in the next video.